Hello, welcome back to Learning with Ms. H. We are in Earth Science, and today we're going to be looking at interactions between the Earth, Moon, and Sun. That would include tides and eclipses. We have a slide presentation that we're going to look at today, a mini assignment on slide 12. There's a short video clip on one of the slides, and then there's an assignment linked down below here. So this assignment, I'm going to go ahead and show you this so that if you want to get the slides done on your own, you can go ahead and stop the video. It is a short online quiz. Remember that these are actually worksheets. They are digital worksheets. You can do this as many times as you need to get 100%. So you have unlimited attempts here. It's due on the 24th for this year. 14 points for 5 questions. You're going to have some ordering, matching, those kinds of things. So we have a 6-point question here, matching terms to definitions, moon phases, some multiple choice about what's going on here with the tides, what kind of tide it is, eclipse information, seasons, so basically just a run through of all the stuff from the last lesson and this lesson. It is 14 points total, so pay attention to how many points each question is worth. And then hit submit once you're done, and once you submit it, it will tell you how you did, which ones you got wrong, and you can go back through and try it again. Do it as many times as you need to get 100%. And then the reminder down here, make sure you're working on vocabulary as well as any makeup work, any assignments that you've missed. So go ahead and pause my video, get out something to write with right on so we can take notes. All right, welcome back. We're going to talk about interactions between the sun, earth, and moon, how astronomy impacts the earth every day. So the first thing we're going to look at is tides. So you have an image here of the tides coming in. This is in Ireland. Tides coming in, you've got the wave action going in. This will eventually fill up here and get higher and higher with the water levels. So what causes tides? First of all, tides are actually caused by gravity. The sun and the moon both have a gravitational pull on the earth. And they both have at least a little bit of an effect on our tides. The sun has a much larger size, a much larger gravity, but because it's so far away, the gravity effect on Earth is very minimal. There is a little bit of an effect from it, which I will show you, but it is much, much less than the gravity of the moon because the moon is so much closer. So what happens is the gravity from the sun and the moon pulls the ocean towards them. So the ocean water is not fixed. It's not solidly connected to the surface of the earth, the crust of the earth, because it's a liquid. So it moves and it flows. And because of this, the pull of gravity will cause it to move one way or another. So when you have the sun and the moon pulling on the water in the ocean, it tries to pull it towards them a little bit. Remember when you're taking notes with me that you can pause the video at any time, finish your slide, and then restart the video to keep going. So here's a quick animation of how the moon affects the tides. So go ahead and pause me, watch this animation, and then come back. This is embedded on your notes. There's also a link to it down here on YouTube, so if it does not play up here for some reason, you can hit this link and watch it in YouTube. Okay, so the place that was shown at the beginning of that video is the Bay of Fundy. Keep that in mind over the next couple of slides. So here's what's happening. You have the moon going around the earth and pulling on the water. There are times when the moon and the sun are in line, the sun is also pulling on the water, remember? So the effect of the sun is in the dark blue, the effect of the moon is in the light blue. So when they're in line, you have what's known as a spring tide, where it's a higher than normal tide because the sun is pulling the same direction as the moon. An extreme low tide is called a neap tide, and that's when the moon is opposite the sun. So those are lower than normal tides, because the sun is pulling the ocean a little bit this way, the moon is pulling the ocean a little bit this way. They're at right angles to each other. Here's another short animation about spring and neap tides. So go ahead and pause the video, watch this animation. And again, there's a link here. If it doesn't play for you, you can watch it on YouTube and then come back when you're done. Okay, hopefully you watched both of those videos. Remember in the first one, it talked about the tide at the Bay of Fundy, which is the most extreme tide change. And you saw the images of the tide going in and the ships rising up and then falling back down to the ground. The Bay of Fundy is right here at the point of this arrow, northeast of Maine, in New Brunswick, Canada. It's right there between New Brunswick and Nova Scotia. One of the cool things about this area is the tide is so extreme and it's so enclosed in this bay that you can actually come in here and experience those extreme high tides for yourself. There's a time range here where you can go kayaking in this park. You have a 45-foot deep tide here. And this is actually the Atlantic Ocean out here that's come into the bay. All of this is Atlantic Ocean. This location of this park is called Hopewell Rocks in New Brunswick, Canada. And it's a national park. You can go hikes around. You can go to this location right here. And there's a lookout so you can watch the tide come in or go out. Eventually, the tide gets all the way up. Today, it rose all the way up to this darker patch on the rock here. It gets as deep as 45 feet at extreme high tides. And then it gets as low as 0 feet at extreme low tides. So I was here with a friend who lives in the area, and we came out to watch high tide. We missed high tide by just a little bit, so it had already started falling at this point, and you can tell that because of the dark patch on the rock. But these kayakers down here are kayaking through this little archway in the rock at as close to high tide as it could get and still allow them through. So keeping this picture in mind, this is us in front of this area of rock taking a selfie. We took it kind of shot in between these two rocks. This little guy back here, these two little rocks, are right behind this large one. So that kind of gives you an idea of where we are at. And you can see extreme high tide here. And we took the selfie so that you could see a comparison and know that it's the same location on the next slide. So this is high tide. We're coming up. I'm going to show you low tide in a minute. Couple of interesting facts that are not on the test, but it's kind of a cool thing to know. Hopewell Rocks has this sign here, and at this location, you can actually go down and walk on the floor of the ocean at low tide. Because it does go out so far, there's a section of ocean floor that is open and able to be walked on. They do speak French there. So their signs are in both French and English. And again, it's a national park, so there's all kinds of exhibits and hiking trails that explain the tides and how they work. We were at about 40 feet on the previous slide because remember we missed high tide by about 30-45 minutes. So remember, we've done conversions in the past. Pause the video and take a minute to do the conversion between feet and meters and figure out how many meters of water were present when we took that selfie. It was at about 40 feet when we took it. So pause me and do that conversion. So high tide the day that we were there was about 46 feet. And again, we missed it by a little bit, but you get the effect anyway. The next slide is going to show us going down onto the floor of the ocean and actually getting to walk on the ocean floor. This sign here tells you when to be back up top by. So we had to be back up by 9:10 in order to make it out before the tide started coming in again. They actually close off the stairwell so you can't get up or down at that point. So here we go. On the right, this is a selfie of us in the same spot. This is that rock that was sticking up, the big guy and the little guy. Here behind my friend is the archway. And you can see that there's people down there walking around. There is no water in here anymore. So we wanted to show you the effect of high tide and low tide in this area. On the left, this is the archway that all those people were kayaking through. Please ignore the hiking boots and the shorts. We brought those to change into because it was very muddy, gross, and messy down there. There's rock everywhere, there's seaweed everywhere, it's squishy and glubby and nasty. So we had the boots on to walk around on the nasty, it was like muddy sand. You can see the ocean behind me. This is low tide, it's going out still at this point. And we're able to walk, you could walk for miles in any direction here. And be actually walking on the literal floor of the ocean. It was kind of cool. So I'm standing underneath the rock where they were kayaking only a few hours earlier. So, quick assignment. What was happening here that allowed us to walk on the floor of the ocean? Give me about a half page in your notebooks. And then number 2, tell me why are tides important? How do they affect the earth? What do they do for us? And then be prepared to answer questions about this. And there's another video linked here if you need a little bit more explanation still. I think those first 2 videos did a great job, but this is a third one just in case you need it. So answer these questions with me paused and then come back and we will finish the slides. All right, welcome back. Hopefully you did that. You will have an assignment that you are going to turn in later on upcoming that has to do with this. So make sure that this is in your notebook. So all you have to do for that assignment is just write it down. If you did it on a Google Doc, you can just copy and paste it. But you will have to answer these questions in an assignment that's coming up in a couple days. So hopefully it was interesting to you to see, the video, the professional video that was made that gave you the example of Bay of Fundy and showed you a video of it, and then being able to see images of an actual high and low tide with people there for comparison, so you can see how extreme the tides are there. If you go to my YouTube channel, there's also a video that is posted. It is called, and I'll actually link it on, I'll try to remember to link it on the slides here for you. There's a video that shows the tide coming in on the Pettit-Kodiak River. And it's kind of interesting to see that come in too, because the river is fairly low at the beginning, and then as the tide comes in, the river actually flows backwards and fills completely up. All right, eclipses. So what is an eclipse? An eclipse is a partial shadow moving over the moon or the sun. So when we have a lunar eclipse, the moon is passing through the Earth's shadow. It lowers the amount of moonlight that we see because we are actually blocking the sun from the moon. So you get this kind of dark red shade to the moon. It can be all the way down to like dark browns. And you can watch this shadow move over the moon. It can be multiple different colors, shades here, but you're watching the shadow move across. Solar eclipse is similar, but it is the moon passing between the Earth and the sun and blocking out the light of the sun. There's a certain point where the moon is just at the right place and the right elevation, and everything lines up perfect, so it completely blocks out the sun, and you just see this shimmering around it here. And that's going to, again, lower the sunlight to the Earth. Up here with the lunar eclipse, it lowers the moonlight, which is the reflection of sun off the moon. And down here, it's going to lower the sunlight. So let's take a look at what happens. The moon is passing through the Earth's shadow in a lunar eclipse. It takes about 2 hours for this to happen from start to finish. This is going to happen more often than a solar eclipse because of the amount or the speed that the moon goes around the Earth. So here's what we're looking at when that happens. You've got the sun on the left, and then you've got some vocab words, penumbra and umbra. So penumbra is a partial shadow. So that is, you've got the Earth here lined up, and you've got this cone going out from the sun at these angles. So what happens is the Earth is at just the right angle to completely block out all of the sunlight. So as the moon moves into this shadow here, it's not receiving any light at all from the sun. So there's no reflection of light from the sun. So when it moves in here, you'll see that shadow start to pass across the moon, and then it'll be completely dark all the way up, and then you'll start to see the moon come out of the shadow up here at the top. These areas between these dotted lines here, these are areas where it's going to be partial shadow, and then this gray area is where it is full shadow. And you do need to know those two terms. They are vocabulary. So umbra is full shadow, that's the gray area. The light's completely blocked. Penumbra is partial shadow, and it's partially blocked. I would sketch this into your notes. It doesn't have to be pretty. Just sketch circles, write in labels, sun, earth, moon, and then lightly fill this area in, make it gray, and then add the two terms. So in a solar eclipse, what happens then? We've got, in this image on the left, you've got day and night happening. That's the dark shadow that's moving across and covering the Earth completely. That's day versus night. And then during the daytime, you see this little dark circle. Oh, sorry. You see this little dark circle that's going to go across right about here. And it goes very quickly. There it is. That's the shadow of the sun behind the moon. So you've got the moon blocking out the sun for just that little location, that little spot of black that moves across the Earth is the shadow of the moon blocking out the sun. So it only covers a small portion of the Earth. Not everybody is going to see the solar eclipse, only the people that are in the path of that shadow. Most of the Earth is water, so most of the time that shadow happens over the ocean. When it does happen over land, it's kind of a big deal because it's such a rare occasion that everybody wants to see it. So here's what it looks like. You have the rays of the sun coming down, and they're focused on the Earth in this dark circle here. So this dark circle is the penumbra, the partial shadow. And that is these dotted lines coming up. So these far away rays of the sun are getting partially blocked by the moon, top and bottom. Then you have these more focused rays that hit right in the middle of that circle, and that pinpoint right there, only that pinpoint, is where the eclipse happens, because you have this dark cone behind the moon that is a full shadow. And it only hits the Earth on that one tiny little pinpoint. And the Earth, remember, is rotating. So as the Earth rotates, that circle appears to move across the Earth, because really what's happening is the Earth is rotating through that circle. So we are rotating through, and that's why it appears to move across. So again, sketch this into your notes, circles with labels, label each of the umbra and penumbra. Those are vocab words. You need to be able to recognize this picture and answer questions about it. Do you guys know when the last time we had a solar eclipse was here? It's just a couple years ago. So what happens in a solar eclipse? It's only during the new moon, when the moon passes between the Earth and the sun. So here's our plane of ecliptic. The moon is actually at a 5% tilt to that plane. So it only happens as the moon crosses that line. So if it is a new moon, when it crosses this line, that's going to give us our solar eclipse. That tilt of the moon's orbit is why there's not an eclipse every time there's a new moon. Okay, so that is it for the slides for the day. You're going to go ahead and scroll down here, do this assignment, and then make sure that you're doing any makeup work and vocabulary on your own at home as well. Get all that turned in. If you are watching this September of 21, the link for signing up for tests has already been posted, so make sure you check that out. I sent an email out with instructions. I made a post with all the links in the announcements, and that is also posted in the resources. So check one of those locations and make sure you go ahead and get signed up for a time for the tests. And if none of those are convenient, or you have questions, concerns, issues with coming in for testing, make sure you contact one of the administrators that's listed in the testing section of the resources page. Remember that I have no authority over testing whatsoever. I cannot make any changes or exceptions to it. I am told you have to come in, take it in person, and it has to be during that window, and that's what I have to go off of. So if there's any issues with that, the only people that can help you are the administrators. So look at that list on the resources page, figure out which one is for your building. It should say the building next to each person, and then contact them about it. If you are granted an exception, please make sure that you shoot me an email and let me know what they said, please. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.